Hi, Dr. Kathy Vierhusen here. Some of you I met during our Zoom session. Some of you have not had the pleasure to meet yet. I am your instructor for Nursing 379, Population-Focused Healthcare, for both the theory portion of it, and then I coordinate the clinical and teach part of the clinical portion of it for the 5 weeks that we're here together. I wanted to share with you the schedules by the middle of the week. That's what I said I wanted to do. And what I found was, my first plan was I was going to send you out an individual schedule that was going to talk specifically to you about what your schedule was. And I'm okay with putting the work in for doing that. But what I found was that was kind of confusing to the people that I sent that to. And so what I want to do is then have this recorded Zoom to show the document that I'm going to send to you and be able to explain it to you a little bit. So I'm going to share this document with you. As I said before, when I introduced this topic to you, it's been a different semester for us, not worse, just different. Some of the, we've had some opportunities that we haven't had before because of the pandemic. But we've also had some clinical partners that we've partnered with before in the community say, you know what, we respectfully decline to have your students right now. We just got too much on our plate to worry about students. And we respect that. We always want to nurture our relationships with our community agencies. So I'm going to share the document I have with you and tell you how to read it and explain a little bit about what we're expecting of you. Dr. Cole and I are expecting of you. We are striving to have a variety of experiences in public health and community healthcare for you. It's 5 weeks, it's quick, I understand that, but we'll work together and get these clinical experiences in for you. You are responsible for a certain number of hours, 52 hours actually, outside of the sim lab. And so we've got different options for you to be able to meet those hours. And again, we'll work with you. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you. As always, I want you to be able to reach out to me on any questions that you may have. I'm just working to get my worksheet over to my second screen. Okay, and I'm going to share this with you. Yes. Okay. All right. So I have a screen that you should be able to see. This first page. This is an Excel workbook, and I will be sharing this with all of you. And I'm going to explain what's actually on here. So you'll see me looking at my second screen while I do this. This is actually the first part of this schedule is actually the master calendar. That's not going to mean a lot to you as an individual person. I have other tabs that are more important to you as an individual person, but this just gives us an overall layout of what we're trying to do within this 5 weeks, and it's pretty jam-packed, particularly for Dr. Cole and I to try to participate in all of these situations. So I'll explain the different situations that we have on here, the different clinical opportunities, and then you'll see how this master calendar kind of plays into that. But what I want to call your attention to on this page is over here under student requirements. So the student requirements really speak to what I'm expecting of you. Dr. Cole and I are expecting of you for this class in your clinical setting. First, the simulations. Kathy in the sim lab has worked very hard on arranging for the simulations that you will have in this one. You'll have 4. You will not meet for simulation during the week of Thanksgiving. But you meet on your regular day for simulations. So work that out with Kathy, but I know you've got regular days. Some people have switched, and that's fine as long as Kathy's aware of it. But the first week you will be learning or doing an immunization clinic. So you'll be meeting in the sim lab, going through an immunization clinic simulation. So that's fantastic. Second week, again, you don't have any simulation because it's the week of Thanksgiving. Your third week in this course, you will be doing school nursing scenarios, and that will be done again in person in the sim lab, but we do have the ability to switch that if we need to. We want to bring you together. We want to have that shared group experience for you, but if we need to do that virtually, we can. And so I just want you to know that's in person unless you hear differently from us. All the sims are in person unless you hear differently from us. During the 4th week, you'll be doing pediatric home visits, another thing that's very important within community health. And then on the 5th week, you will be going over your healthcare teaching projects, which we will talk about more when you get into this class. So those are your 4 sims. You're required to do each one of those. Each one of them is 4 hours long. You get 16 credits for the sim time, okay? And when faculty does the tabulation of hours, an hour in sim equals 2 hours of clinical. You don't need to worry about that, but just letting you know you're getting credit for 32 hours of clinical time while you're in the sim lab because you're there for 16 hours. Okay, then the next section under student requirements, you'll see 2 Zoom sessions. These are the trainings or orientations that you'll be going through that we're asking everyone to go through one of these. And I do have an area where I've showed you which one I've asked you to attend. And so what you'll be going through first is, or one of them will be vision screening. So Wisconsin Prevention of Blindness, April Thaney from the Wisconsin Prevention of Blindness will be coming in and doing a virtual training for you. Lasts about 90 minutes, but when you're done, you'll be certified to do vision screening for school-age children. So that opportunity is going to present itself. We already have one scheduled at St. John's Lutheran School in Grafton. They are actually doing vision screening on December 7th. There are others. Mequon Zanesville School District is interested in vision screening, plus April Thaney has a few that are interested in our area. And so I have reserved those days on the calendar and assigned you to those, so the vision screening, but you're expected to go to the training. The second Zoom training that you will be going to is Voices of the Nurse Orientation. And what Voices of Nursing is, it is a Concordia University, Wisconsin program that started, it's funded by something called the COT grant. It is by the COT family, and it started as a pilot last summer. It has been successful in the pilot, it's been successful this fall, and we are going to be continuing it for you. It is how do we reach out to socially isolated individuals, particularly the elderly and those who are cognitively delayed. How do we reach out to them to combat social isolation and also make sure their health risk has been assessed and their needs are met? And because we are doing our clinical experiences around the holidays, that will be the theme of your outreach to them. You will each receive a client who is in living alone, and you will develop a relationship with them via the telephone. So we will talk more about that, but that's what that orientation is. Then we have a debrief at the end of our 5 weeks about that. So you'll be scheduled for the orientation and then the debrief. We also have Stop the Bleed training. This is something that came to light last year when we did the disaster drills. Last fall, we could still do them in person. COVID hadn't really hit where we thought it was a pandemic, and we could still do them in person. But I incorporated Stop the Bleed into our curriculum because so many nursing students had difficulty understanding what to do with someone who was hemorrhaging at a site. So let's say you go to an explosion site, you happen upon a mass casualty like the Las Vegas shooting. How do you stop the bleed? And what we found is that a high percentage of people die from hemorrhaging that could have been avoided. And so we'll go over that. So you've been scheduled for that. Another one is a discussion that Dr. Cole will have with you on the Kaplan expectation for the spring, and you'll do some activities around that. And then we will do nurse disrupted. A couple of nurses in the Madison area have come up with an innovative way to do telehealth as COVID screening for homeless shelters. And so we'll do an orientation for that, and then we will participate in that. You will participate in that with your faculty. So those are your kind of Zoom sessions. I've got you scheduled for those according to the schedule you gave me. I think I was able to honor everybody, or at least very, very closely. And that equals 16 hours of clinical time. The remainder of your hours, which is 36 hours you see there, you will participate, and you can, they can vary in the various aspects of our clinical expectations. But we have Voices of Nursing, Nurses Disrupted, Nurse Disrupted, vision screening at area schools, and we also have the ability to do COVID testing. That's a very limited one right now, but that is again a grant through the in conjunction with the Washington Ozaukee Health Department. They're doing, we are supporting as a school some of the testing that's done on Fridays in Port Washington, and this is actual COVID testing. You would actually be at the front line doing that. Currently, aligning our calendar with theirs is a little difficult because they're doing it on Fridays in October and November, and we actually only have one Friday in November that isn't part of the Thanksgiving weekend, which they're not doing it. So there is a date available on the 20th, Friday the 20th of November. There will be training associated with that. I think it's asynchronous, but I'm not going to, don't quote me on that. I will let you know for sure. But if you're interested in doing COVID testing, we could certainly get you trained for that, and then hopefully get you on board to be able to do the testing on the 20th. Now, if they have funding available, and if they have the need, they will also go into December. If they go into December, we can also do those on the Fridays in December, which will be the 4th, the 11th, and the 18th. So more to come on that. The other thing is with the Nurse Disrupted, when I talked about we were going in and screening via telehealth, not actually on site, but going in and screening people for COVID who are going to a homeless shelter. Though that clinical experience actually happens kind of in the late day, in the evening, 4 or 5 o'clock for a couple of hours, and it's 7 days a week, so we have a lot of days that we can pick from. But we have one nursing student who would be screening the people that are actually coming in through the shelter, and the shelter will take people until it's full. So you're actually doing like 11 questions and you're screening people. This is via telehealth, just like I'm talking to you. If the person ends up not passing that initial screen, they are then led to a trailer by a volunteer there at the shelter to talk to one of our nursing students or a volunteer nurse. So there's two, right? The initial screener and then the secondary screener. Secondary screener is going to go into much more depth about what's going on with this person. And according to an algorithm, decide whether this person goes into the shelter, goes to a hotel with a voucher, or ends up going to the emergency room. So we'll talk about that, but that's kind of those clinical experiences. Through all of those clinical experiences, you're expected to get about 36 hours. And Dr. Cole and I will work very closely with you on trying to do that. If things shut down and we're not able to do some of these experiences, we are prepared to do simulated experiences with you so that you can successfully pass this class. A situation might be we're planned to do a vision screening within a school, and the school has an outbreak and they close down. We can't do vision screening via telehealth, via Zoom. We have to be in person to do vision screening, at least with the ways that we do it right now. So we would then substitute some type of simulation to be able to do that. We don't want to do that. We'd love you to have real life experiences, but we're doing the best we can. Okay, so that's how you read this. And a lot of the information that I talked about is in that yellow and green column, that in-person and virtual clinical. Okay, now the other two tabs on this that I'm going to send to you, the first one and the second one are just our group. So this is Dr. Cole's group. This is Dr. Verhuizen's group, or my group. And it really looks at what did you give us for your availability, and then where did I plug you into this big picture? So I think it's easier for me to send this whole document to you. I anticipate there's going to be a lot of questions. I'm open to answering questions. So give it a look. Decide if the schedule is working for you. Ask me questions if you have them, and we'll be successful in this. I'm absolutely confident that we will be successful, okay? All right, I'm gonna stop sharing. So if you have any difficulties with this, if you are having difficulties understanding the concept of this, I apologize. I'm trying to be as clear as I can on being able to show you these, but our goal is for you to have a variety of experiences in the public health and community health arena, for you to be able to interact with different groups. For instance, you may interact with a homeless group, to be able to understand what is true about that population, maybe what's a myth or something that you believe right now, but is not really true about that population. So I'm really excited about this. It's been a lot of work, but you're worth it. And we want this to be a success for you. So take a look, give me a call or drop me an email or a text if you have any questions. And I look forward to working with you in November.